Good evening. I'm David Assad, the Chairman of the Zoning Board of Appeals for the City of Fall River. It's 6 p.m. on Thursday, October 17th, 2019. We are meeting at One Government Center in the committee hearing room. This is a meeting of a local public body and as such is subject to the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20, commonly known as the Open Meeting Law. Pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20, subsection F, I hereby notify all persons in attendance that this meeting is being recorded with both video and audio devices. Our recording secretary this evening is Brittany Farrier, the lady to my left. She's recording an audio version, and Fall River Government TV, Alex Mello, is recording both a video and audio version. If anyone desires to make an audio, video, or combination recording thereof, please notify me now, and I shall make a public announcement of your intention. Present this evening are permanent members from my left to right: John Frank, Secretary of the Zoning Board of Appeals; James Calkins, and alternate members Dan Dupere and David Saber. Brittany, have all petitions to be considered been properly advertised and all interested parties notified in accordance with the rules and regulations of the Zoning Board of Appeals and Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 48 as amended?
Yes.
I declare the October 17, 2019 regularly scheduled meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals of the City of Fall River open for such business as shall regularly come before it. I remind all persons presenting before the board, including the petitioners, abutters, anyone in support or anyone opposed to the petition, that your presentation should be limited to 3 minutes. Questions and responses must be directed through the chairman. The board's rules and regulations direct the board to specifically look for information which supports the petitioner's claim. As such, the petitioner should identify and factually support the basis for the petition. I hereby advise the petitioners and all interested persons that this board is the Zoning Board of Appeals. This board's authority exists pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 48, and is limited in scope and deals with the use of land as regulated by Chapter 86 of the ordinances of the City of Fall River. Additional permits, licenses, reviews, and/or approvals may be required for the specific development and/or use which is the subject of the petition before the zoning board this evening. The clerks in the building, planning, engineering, and licensing departments are competent in the discharge of their duties as clerks. They are, however, not lawyers and are not competent to give legal advice. The action taken by this board has a real and lasting effect upon the title to your real estate. I urge all petitioners to seek competent legal counsel before filing your petition and after a decision of the board has been made. For example, there is a city ordinance, 2015-11, Section 10.1, requiring site plan reviews. A copy of the ordinance is available at the city clerk's office or from the planning department. I remind everyone that the building inspector is the zoning enforcement authority, and you are here this evening because the building inspector has determined that your proposed action is contrary to the City of Fall River zoning ordinances. The City Charter, Section 9-18, mandates that all multiple member bodies develop and adopt rules or policies for public comment. We have adopted such a policy, which in short provides for citizen input on zoning board specific matters at the end of this meeting. A sign-in sheet is on the table in the back of the room if anybody wants to comment about anything the zoning board is doing, and then we'll do it at the end of our meeting. Finally, I disclose that an official copy of the Fall River zoning ordinance is available at the city clerk's office. One cannot rely on the online zoning ordinance. I cannot participate in agenda items 1 and 4. Therefore, the board will consider those items first, with John Frank acting as chairman. Are there any questions before we begin? Okay, I'll leave John. You can do number 1 and number 4, and then just yell and I'll come back in. Thank you.
Okay, agenda item number 1 is Ronald and Joseph Miranda, 317 Lindsay Street, lot S1501. It's a 6-month extension request for a variance that was granted with conditions on September 20th, 2018 to construct a 2-story addition to an existing commercial building, waiving requirements in a G district. Is there here on that. Come right up, please.
Good evening.
Hey, just introduce yourself for the record, please.
Michael Fonseca, NCD Construction.
Joseph Miranda.
And what are we looking to
The
do?
reason why we're here to ask for an extension, the existing building, there were some structural issues that we were having a problem being able to put the metal building to it. So it's finally, the engineer that the Miranda has hired didn't complete his task. I got called in a couple months ago, and we finally got it all straightened out about a week and a half ago. So I have a wireframe sketch and we're ready to go. So we're asking for an extension.
Okay. Members of the board, any questions? Anyone here in favor? Anyone here opposed? Okay, members of the board?
Move approval.
Second. All those in favor? 4. All set.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a good
And
night.
I'm going to skip to number 4 while I'm up here. I can't sit on it, so
So,
we're just going to call it.
yeah, we call it and announce the 3-member board.
We're skipping to agenda item number 4, Joan Sear, 226 and 236 Atlantic Boulevard. Lots A, 15, 36, and 37, variance request to modify an existing lot line between 2 existing structures to alleviate an existing encroachment and an S district. I have to step off of this position. There's only going to be a 3-member board.
Understandable. So, good evening, board members. Dan Aguirre of SciTech Engineering. I understand that we only have 3 members here this evening, and that does not constitute a quorum for this board, so we are not opposed to carrying this over to the November meeting.
I'm just going to have to take the vote, right? So, do we have any questions by members of the board on that? No. All those in favor? Ayes, no. All set.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 2. Agenda item number 2, 64 Durfee LLC, care of Arthur Frank Jr. Esquire. 64 Durfee Street, Lot N 1055, 42, and Central Street, Lot N 92. This is a special permit request to reduce parking requirements for a mixed-use building containing 55 apartments and 15,000 square feet leasing area on grade level in the BL district.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Arthur Frank. I'm a lawyer with an address of 209 Bedford Street, Fall River, Massachusetts. I represent your petitioner, 64 Durfee LLC. And with me tonight, to my right, is Alan F. Macumber. Alan is the manager. It's his project that is trying to revitalize the old Durfee Tech College that we're all very familiar with, that I don't think has been occupied for close to 20 years. As set forth in the notice, Mr. Macumber's outfit is going to redevelop that property, and they're going to put in 55 units of housing, 44 market and 11 affordable, and there's going to be some commercial use on the first floor, approximately 15,000 square feet. However, under our current zoning ordinance pertaining to parking, he would need 133 on-site spaces, and he doesn't have that. I believe we have 88. However, our bylaw, our ordinance, does allow for this board to reduce or modify parking by way of a special permit under section 86-445 if the board finds that the reduction or modification is not inconsistent with public health and safety, or that the reduction or modification promotes a public benefit. Let me address that first. We've got a building, a very magnificent building, made out of granite, that once was an education center that has not been used in 20 years. There have been a lot of false promises by previous developers, none of them came to fruition. Mr. Macumber is ready to step up and take a building that is in our business district, our downtown area, and turn it into something productive. As far as the parking is concerned, he has gone above and beyond what I normally see when people are asking for parking waivers. He has secured 2 additional lots where he can put cars that are I think one is abutting and the other one is adjacent to. And he's also counted the on-street parking. And if you're familiar with that end of Durfee Street, it's not heavily used. Those parking spaces aren't used because most of the businesses or establishments on that end of Durfee Street have off-street parking or their parking lots. So it's a very underutilized area. And in taking into consideration his 2 lots and the spots on the street, we will have a total of 159 spaces available to the project. That's more than are needed under the ordinance. And I would call to your attention, paragraph 5 of section 86-445 talks about use of off-street parking, off-site parking, excuse me, and section 4 talks about availability of on-street parking or parking at nearby municipal facilities. So we're asking this board to make the proper findings that we qualify for a special permit because of the use of the off-site parking and the on-street parking available to people on Durfee Street.
Where, do you know where the off-site parking is, the 2 lots, the addresses?
I believe you have a map. There's one on Central Street, corner of Central and Green. And the second is on the corner of Elm and Durfee.
I'll direct your attention, Mr. Chairman, to the parking lot, it's listed as parking lot D on Elm Street, in the lower right-hand corner of the plan. You see that?
I see that.
And then there is another parking lot, they call it parking lot A on Central Street. So if we take those 2 lots into consideration, the spaces on site, and then the spaces on the public way, we believe we have enough parking for this. And the other thing too is
So
that.
your summation, you have 159 spaces on-site and off-site.
Correct. And the
So
other
a
thing.
condition of the grant of the special permit with a number of 159 is something that you can live with,
Yes.
okay? Good.
The other thing too is, since you've got mixed uses, you're gonna have peak demands at different times, because people that are living there are leaving to go to work, and those spaces are vacant, but people coming to use the commercial space, or to shop at the commercial space, whatever that use may be, are gonna park, but then they're not gonna be there all day, and the people are gonna come home at night, and they'll have their parking spaces. So we think it's a
You have
very.
You didn't submit a study, I didn't see a traffic study.
We did not do a traffic study, but I think one needs only drive down Durfee Street.
No, I mean, just common
Yeah.
sense will, your
Common sense is gonna
statement would say
prevail.
that, but I'm just asking if you had a separate.
We did not. We did not.
Yeah, my recollection, the central parking lot D is within walking distance.
No.
Good, Jim.
No, it's knowing where it is, yeah. But my only question on that would be, are you going to have exclusive use of that for your residents?
Yes.
Because it's currently used as commercial parking, isn't it?
I purchased the property in January of this year
I think the other parcel is by lease arrangement.
by lease with an option to purchase,
How long's that lease for?
10 years. The option to purchase I can exercise at the end of 2020.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions, John?
I'm just doing quick math, and I don't know, at first you said 88 on-site.
That's what yeah, that's what they're saying.
Right, I added on-site, street, and the side ones, and I only come up with 91 total, and you're saying 159. So I'm trying to see where else I'm missing something here. I have 37 in the bigger area, 9 down here, 20 up here, 15 over here.
On street.
And then on street, I have 9 and 8. Am I missing one of them?
Yes, I believe the document there counts the perimeter around the building, parking in the numbers of the 88.
Is this, there's
When
no-
you,
Green Street doesn't have any on-street parking.
Green Street is all on-street parking on one side. It's not striped. Bank Street, we counted the spaces from Green Street to North Main Street,
Okay.
less than a block walk. On Elm Street, we did the same thing. We counted
Okay.
from Green Street to North Main Street.
Okay. I see it now. I'm just trying to
Yeah, no,
add them all up, and I wasn't getting there. but,
the civil drawing didn't go all the way out that
Gotcha.
far.
But in any event, it's gonna be 159 total spaces. Okay. Yes, Matt, wait,
Yeah, that's.
wait,
really
can I
so-
stop you for 1 minute? When we're done listening to their presentation, we will ask who's in favor, who's opposed, unless you're, unless you're the traffic consultant.
No, it's just the parking, that street is already very heavy.
No, I know, we're gonna give you a chance to tell us that.
Okay.
Thank you. John, was there anything
Awesome.
else on those
Thank you.
numbers? David? No, Dan? Anything? Okay. Is there anyone here in favor of this petition? Is there anyone here opposed to this petition? Madam, now it's your turn to tell us. Tell me who you are, give me an address, and tell me what you want to tell us.
Yes, I have a house.
What's your name,
Bedford
please?
Street, and the
May I
tenant-
have your name, please?
My name is Sonia Connolly,
Thank you, Sonia.
yes.
And you live on,
My tenants, they have a hard time parking on the street, especially when it is.
may I have an
summertime.
address, please?
386 Dunford.
Thank you. Please, continue.
Yeah. I'm just saying that when it snows
Yes?
and the people have a hard time parking that street already, as is right now.
Yes?
So if they will have a parking, is okay, but to use the street parking is already, people having a hard time parking the street.
Okay, but you understand that that's public parking. It's not exclusive for
No.
these people.
No, but I say that's.
But in
a lot
terms of
people
counting-
using the public,
Yes.
spaces right now.
We're counting, we're including some of those public spaces, but he also has some additional parking for his tenants, or for the use of the building, which we're saying, they're giving us a number of 159 parking spaces that are available. Originally, they were using 88 for a development of 64, so where it was, the bylaw requires 2 on-site parking, which would be 2 parking spaces per person, they're down to 1.37. When they use the total of 159, they come up with greater than the number that's required by roughly 20 more spaces. So if we eliminate the 20 spaces that are on site, strike that are on the street, then they have, tell me if my mathematics are correct, then they have on the 2 lots that they have access to and what they have on site, they have a sufficient number of spots.
Mr. Macomber just told me that when he went out to count the on-street parking places, he did not count any of the spaces in front of this lady's property. She's further north, closer to Pine Street, so he didn't even take those spaces
So you
into.
didn't go down that far?
No, that's correct.
We
So
stopped at
did you
Elm.
hear what they said when they were doing the numbers, they didn't go in front of your house, they didn't use the ones near your house?
I just said like when there's park ban,
Yes?
the people who has house in that, the street, the people would have a hard time finding parking space. That's the reality.
That is the reality, and, well, I for one understand that. We live in a city, that's what we have. Okay. And please, is there anything else you'd like to tell the board? Is there anyone else opposed to this petition? Okay. So that's what we have before us. It's a special permit under 86-455. If we make the determination,
445, Mr. Chairman.
86-445, I'm sorry. which says, "Any parking or loading requirements set forth herein may be reduced or modified upon the issuance of a special permit by the zoning board of appeals if the board finds that the reduction or modification is not inconsistent with public health and safety, or that the reduction or modification promotes a public benefit." Such cases might be, and the two specific ones that Attorney Frank were, availability of on-street parking or parking at nearby municipal facilities, and number 5, use of off-street parking. So,
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I move
Jim.
that we find that it would be more beneficial for the city for that property to be developed as proposed, and that the availability of the off-street parking would be sufficient to satisfy the requirements of the zoning.
okay, so that's number 1, you want to have that finding?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have that proposed finding by Jim Corkins. Do I have a second on that finding?
Second.
Second by John Frank. Any discussion on that finding? All those in favor? All right, so the board makes that finding unanimously. Do you want to make a motion to grant the special permit with a condition being that he has a minimum of 159 parking spaces?
So move that we grant the special permit based upon the availability of 159 parking spaces combining off-street and reserve parking.
Okay, so that's Jim's motion. Do we have a second on the motion?
Second.
Second, Jim, John, Frank. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Okay, that special permit is granted with those conditions. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
McDonough. Thank you,
gentlemen.
Attorney Frank. Thank you, Sonia, for coming out. Here's the petition back. Agenda item number 5. No, strike that. Agenda item number 3, Contractors Landing LLC, Griffin Street, Evelyn's Way, Ash Street, Lot G2714. Special permit request to construct a multifamily housing development consisting of 5 one-unit buildings in a CMD, Commercial Mill District, lot size 43,683 plus or minus square feet. Now, my understanding on this particular petition is this requires us, before we can make any action, it's a redo, Dan?
That's correct.
So the planning board has already approved and said that there's been a substantial change in the original petition. We have to make that finding if we want to go forward. If we don't make the finding, then the case is over.
Do you have a copy of their decision in your
I
packet?
don't. Let me see if I go. Brittany, do I?
Just in case you wanted to refer to it at all.
I should just give it to you. I don't see it there.
No. Okay.
Do you have it?
I have the original. I just got it. But I'll reference it and
All right,
we'll make sure.
but the planning board made the determination.
Sure, yeah.
And
So if anybody does want to see
Brittany
that,
confirms that.
confirm that was issued.
Yeah. Let me see it.
Yeah, it's not in here.
I'll give it back to you.
Yep.
We'll make, if we've got a copy, you've got the race seal and everything.
Yeah, I want to record it.
Okay.
So good evening. For the record, my name is Dan Aguirre. I'm a senior project manager at SciTech Engineering with addresses in the city, Dartmouth, Marshfield, and Worcester. Here this evening on behalf of Contractors Landing LLC. They are the current landowner of the real estate located at map G27, lot 14, which is at the southerly terminus of existing Evelyn's Way, which is a residential subdivision, and at the westerly dead-end portion of Griffin Street that comes down through Ellis, what was the old Ellis Curtain Factory outlet, and I think it's Save-A-Lot on the right-hand side coming down there from Broadway. That's the terminus of Griffin that you see there. This is approximately a 1-acre parcel of land, and so that maybe we should deal with the repetitive petition portion of the presentation first. In 2018, a previous owner came before the board under a special permit proposing to build 4 duplex homes on this property with access coming from Evelyn's Way. At that time, the presentation that was presented to you, it wasn't something that I was involved in. The board did not look favorably upon that special permit and denied their request for a special permit. Under state statute, we cannot come back before this board, as you all know, for a period of 2 years unless we make changes that are substantially involving the reasons that the initial application was denied. That process brings us first to the planning board for their first review of it. Once they give us a clean bill of health, then we can appear back before you. But you still also need to make that determination that the changes that
The
have been made.
specific language, specific and material changes in the conditions upon which the previous unfavorable action was based.
Correct. When the new owner took this parcel on, again, you'll see it's an odd kind of a name, Contractors Landing LLC. We were proposing a commercial development for the site of contractor condos, allowed by right in the district, it's commercial mill district, accessing off of the Evelyn's Way cul-de-sac. We were ready to construct that project. We applied for a conservation permit because we do have wetlands to the south of our property. During that hearing process, public hearing process, similar to this, a number of the neighbors were concerned regarding the type of development that we were proposing and the impacts that it would have to the adjacent wetlands. At that time, we requested a continuance with the Conservation Commission, and I went back and spoke with my clients about, is there a better way that we can develop this parcel of land, or that you can develop this parcel of land that would be taking into account the abutters' existing uses, which are single-family homes. Those single-family homes were all built under a variance back when this was an industrial district. I did the variance. So there were 22 single-family homes built in an industrial district. So they were granted a variance to do what they were doing in a commercial district. So now we had a parcel of land that we wanted to do what was allowed, and we were now getting some difficulties with that. So we went back to the drawing board, and the applicant and I put together this plan, which is to build really 5 single-family homes. However, they need to be on a singular piece of property to be considered a multifamily development. We can't create 5 individual lots. That would require a variance from this board, and we don't feel that we have grounds for a variance to be granted on this piece of property. Single-family homes is not allowed by special permit in a commercial mill district. Multifamily housing is. So that's why we've had to package this and propose this construction in a multifamily way. To the very south of this parcel, which was all one parcel at one time on Globe, we received a special permit to build duplexes. You may recall that down on the side of Duro, and that's under construction now. This is at the northerly end of that same property once it was subdivided. So we knew that we didn't want to come back in with duplexes because that's what the board voted on the last time. The neighbors were adamant to asking if we could do anything coming off of Griffin Street, not coming in off of Evelyn's Way. So we've also made that accommodation as well. It makes some grading and some driveway work a little bit more difficult than what it would have been if we were coming in off the flat end of Evelyn's Way.
That was my recollection about the Griffin Street access.
But it can be done, because at the last presentation, again, it wasn't something that I did, but that was part of their argument that due to the elevation change, they couldn't come in from Griffin. Well, nothing is impossible if you spend enough money to do it. So this applicant was willing to basically flip his project around, build what we have proposed to you today. So what we feel is substantial changes for the reasons that it was denied. We're not building duplexes. We've reduced the overall density from 8 to 5, and our access will be coming off of Griffin Street. The planning board saw it quickly that was grounds for allowing us to come back and present this package to you. So I think we're probably better off at this point dealing with that portion of the petition before we move on to the next.
I don't know whether, I know it's not in anybody's package. I don't know when anybody was at the planning board, but I'm gonna read their decision into the record
Sure.
if that. So this, 4 of a planning board, this is a decision of the planning board, and it's signed by Cynthia Savigny, chairwoman, and she certifies that the following is a true and correct copy of the action taken by the Fall River Planning Board on September 5th, 2019, and that copies of the same have been filed with the city clerks on September 11th, 2019. This has the blue date time stamp from the city clerk's office and also has the raised seal dated October 2nd, 2019, containing Allison M. Bouchard's signature. in the matter of requests submitted by SciTech Inc. on behalf of Contractors Landing under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 48, Section 16, and under Section 86-487 of the zoning bylaw with respect to a special permit request, which was denied by the Zoning Board of Appeals on October 18, 2018, to construct 4 duplexes with access from Evelyn's Way in a commercial mill district. The current request is for a determination by the Planning Board that the applicant's new proposal reflects specific and material changes in the conditions upon which the denial was issued, and for consent of the Planning Board to allow new hearing by the Zoning Board of Appeals prior to the expiration of 2 years after the date of the denial. The applicant's new plan proposes 4 single-family homes with access from Griffin Street. In a motion made by Mr. Luciola and seconded by Mr. Moniz, the board voted 4-0 in favor of the petition, and the petition was approved. The board, in accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 48, Section 16, and under Section 86-487 of the zoning bylaw, found that the current request did reflect specific material changes and from what the original denial of the Zoning Board of Appeals. So that was the written decision by the Planning Board. So before we go any further and can listen to the petition, we have to either determine whether or not the same thing that the Planning Board did, that there were specific and material changes in the conditions upon which the previous unfavorable action was based, and describes such changes in the record of its proceedings, and unless all but one of the members of the Planning Board consents thereto, and after notice is given to the parties in interest of the time and place of the proceedings, when the question of such consent will be considered. So now it's before us, and we have to make the determination. Normally, we are a 5-member board. We need 4 votes to say, yes, there's been a specific and material change. If they don't have the 4 votes, minimum 4 votes, then they can't go forward. So,
Question?
yeah, ask, John.
Okay, yeah. Is this a different plan than the one in front of the planning board?
Yes,
No,
no, this is
no,
the
no.
same. This is the identical.
This is the plan that appeared before the planning board for them to write that letter.
Read
This,
it again, you said 4.
no, the 4 duplexes.
The previous, the original
pre-
proposal was.
The current
Different
request
from the
is
board
for a
process.
determination by the Planning Board that the let's see, where is it? Zoning Board is denied, Zoning Board of Appeals is, okay. A special permit request which was denied by the Zoning Board of Appeals on October 18th to construct 4 duplexes with access from Evelyn's Way in a commercial mill district. The current request is for a determination by the Planning Board that the applicant's new proposal reflects specific and material changes in connection upon which the denial was issued, and for consent of the Planning Board to allow new hearing by the Zoning Board of Appeals prior to the expiration of 2 years after the date of denial. The applicant's new plan proposes 4 single-family homes with access from Griffin Street.
That's right.
I didn't write the decision.
Neither did I.
What's that?
Neither did I.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this one, the written decision says 4, this has got 5.
So-
I don't have this is what it says.
So that's the typo, but I didn't write it. So
Do you
it
have the
has not
petition?
been recorded.
Which petition? To you?
No.
Or to that?
The petition to the Planning Board.
No, I do not. No, that was just a cover letter and the
That was
plan.
it. In the plan, and this
Yes.
was the same plan
Same
that
plan.
was submitted.
Yes.
So we're thinking that the applicant's new plan proposed 4 single homes with access from the applicant's new plan proposes 4 single-family homes with access from Griffin Street. You're contending is a Scrivener's error, is a
1,000,000%,
typographical error.
yes.
Because this was the same plan, and
Right.
you're saying this.
These are the same plans that was
Okay.
presented to the
This is what you
planning
wanted to
board.
see.
but
Show
this
it to
needs
John.
I just wanted to make
No,
sure.
no, I heard, I heard
Well,
4,
you
I'm
can-
thinking
You can
4.
move conditional upon
No,
that
I
being
got it,
resolved.
but I also hear the people in opposition
So
saying
it's
that
even,
they.
it's even, different, it's even, more of a change, I guess.
Yes.
In your argument. I just wanted to make sure that we
Yeah,
were procedurally
but I don't, were you
correct.
all, I'm doing a little something, were all of you there at the planning board meeting? What, and was this the same thing, 5?
Yes.
It was 5 that was proposed, so it wasn't 4 and, okay. I just wanna make sure, because if there's something, we'll table it to the next meeting, but if we know that you were there and it was 5, and you're telling me this is the same plan that was submitted with 5, then it must be a typo, and we can get that changed by the planning board.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, I just wanted to
Okay,
procedurally
no,
make sure
no, that,
we were good.
make sure we do it by the
Kinda paying
numbers.
attention a little bit.
No, we know you pay attention.
Somebody had their listening ears on, I didn't.
Okay, so, we've got that. So, does anybody want to make a motion that a finding by the board that there has in fact been specific and material changes in the conditions upon which the previous unfavorable action was based?
I will make that motion.
Okay, we have second by Jim Corkins. Any discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, so this board finds unanimously, under section 16 of 40A, that the new plan, specific and material changes in the conditions upon which the previous unfavorable action was based, and we've described it by the change from 4 duplexes to 5 one-unit, one-family living units. And access from Griffin Street versus Evelyn's Way is sufficient, specific and material changes. Okay, now we'll go to the case in chief.
Excellent. Again, moving forward with the project, so what we did was, again, we're in an area that is a commercially zoned area, that allows us to do commercial. The CMD district is probably the most lenient district in the city, that allows us to do a number of different types of commercial uses. A church.
Look, let's just cut to the chase. Our grid says, commercial mill district, you can have multifamilies by a special permit.
Correct, but what I want to make everyone understand, that this proposed use is far less detrimental than what allowed
Okay,
uses,
if you wanna
not
go that
a
way,
special permit.
Allowed uses in the commercial mill
Like
district.
like the contractor condos. We do not need to appear before this board to receive a building permit to do that type of development.
You can do that as a
And if
matter
you
of
read
right.
through the provisions, I mean, under commercial mill district, we can build a bank, we can build a theater.
Well, go ahead, go for the abutters, for
Parking
the people
lots.
that, let them hear
They-
all the
they-
other things that
they
can
all-
go on.
They understand, because we've gone through this, a business, office space, distribution center, parcel delivery, research and development, self-storage facility, industrial research and development, processing, warehousing, biotechnology, trucking, indoor recycling, information processing, visual performing arts space. So there are a number of commercial uses that this parcel could be used for.
As a
However,
matter
the-
of right.
As a matter
without
of
coming
right,
before the
not
board or
even a
anything.
special permit. And that's what the guy who purchased this property, he didn't want to go through this process. He wanted to go in and build his contractor condos and be done with it. When we got into the Conservation Commission hearing and we were listening to some of the concerns, we circled the wagons and I approached him and said, you know, is there something else that we can do to keep everybody happy here so that we don't have a battle for the next however many years you're going to be there? And so he agreed to something like this. So what we're proposing is, it would be a 22-foot wide driveway extending the dead-end portion of Griffin Street. We would be providing 2 parking spaces for each one of our one-unit living units. They would all have walkout basements because of the elevation difference between them. All the drainage and grading is now before the Conservation Commission to make sure that everything has been designed in accordance with that. It'll go through site plan review.
We're not impacting, this project, as I look at it, doesn't impact in the wetlands or the conservation area.
No, well, we're upgrading of that.
No, that's what I'm saying,
wetland.
it's
Yes.
upgrading,
Yeah.
you're leaving that undisturbed.
Correct, yes. Well, and the commercial development, we were right up against the wetland, and we were actually altering some wetland.
Well, that was my recollection.
Which
There
is
was some-
permissible by under the Wetlands Protection Act. However, this is clearly a smaller footprint, a smaller stamp on the earth than what the previous commercial application was to be. So that brings us before you, requesting that you allow us to build this multifamily development in the commercial mill district through the special permitting process that the city has.
How is this not going to be marketed as condominium?
Oh, it most likely will be marketed as a condominium.
And I thought you said by right you could build the condominium.
Contractor
Contractors.
condominiums, it's a commercial use,
Oh,
where you have like a garage
Okay,
space and an
gotcha.
office space. We were gonna build 10 units of that.
But not houses.
So if you had an electrician that,
Yeah.
you know, needed to park his vehicle and have a little office space somewhere to call home, it was a contractor condominium, not a residential condominium.
Any other, David, Dan?
Looking at your elevation,
Yes.
and this is not us, but still, looking at our elevation lines here, the lines that go off, across the street and then down, is that, have you come across into your points here?
Yep.
So is there gonna be a large elevation change? It doesn't look
No.
like, it. I got 121 here and we got 124 here.
Right, and with the 122.
122, so
No,
this is gonna be,
This comes up a little bit, right, and so
then this
stormwater
comes
runs
up
this
higher
way.
here, but this is flat.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're still going from this point
Yeah, we have
to
10
this
foot,
point,
10, 12 foot.
but we transitioned it
Yep.
differently than what's there now.
This gradient is already
This is
there,
all,
right?
these dashed lines is what's there now. So these will all be walkout basements, and that we will be filling in around the back of these homes.
Okay.
Okay, all set, John?
Yep.
David, did you have something? No, all set. Is there anyone here in favor of this petition? Is there anyone here opposed to this petition?
I
No,
just
no.
have a comment.
No, please, I want to hear from you because you're living there.
Yeah, no, Dan, and maybe if you wanna, I'm not sure if this is part of it, but also part of the approval was for the fire department to get in and out, you were going to put go ahead if you wanna mention that, Dan.
Yep, sure, thank you. On the plan, you'll see that there is an area off the end of Evelyn's Way that says gated emergency access if required. What's been happening when we've been going through the site plan review process, the fire department has been asking, in some circumstances, for different types of access. Years past where they didn't pay attention to what was getting approved, those days are gone. So I put this in prior to going to the planning board in anticipation that I know what the fire department is going to ask for potentially down the road.
Because they don't want to come down Griffin Street, they want to blast through Evelyn's
Well,
Way.
it's if they can't, let's say that there's a fire halfway down Evelyn's Way, and they can't get down Evelyn's Way, they can now get from
Griffin
Griffin
Street.
through, so they'll have an emergency way to get through from Broadway all the way to, is it Sprague or Center? Center. For emergency purposes only, and that will be gated, and there are a number of situations in the city that have those,
We
the
have
fire
those, yeah.
gated accesses. So thank you for calling that out.
No, I know this young lady has a
I
plan.
just had a question in
No,
regards to.
can I have your name,
My
please?
name is Andrea Aguirre, I live at 46 Evelyn's Way.
Okay?
I know that he's talking about that, the gate that he's putting there for the fire access.
Yes.
But my question is, where's the division between the development that we now live in and this new development that he's trying to construct? Are they putting a fence up? Are they going to be putting trees up?
All right, one minute, he'll answer that.
No, at this point in time, there is no fence or trees proposed. Griffin Street runs between those homes and that development and
The
our
end of that
development, the
cul-de-sac.
paper portion of Griffin Street. So the paved cul-de-sac comes right up to our
Correct,
property.
it's right at the property line, yeah.
Correct. So at this time, there is no plantings proposed through site plan review. They may request them. Bill's usually pretty good about asking for that at that point in time. I don't think the applicant would be opposed to doing some plantings along the lot line in a few locations.
Do you have a dimension from the end? I don't see it on here.
Let me see.
From the end of the cul-de-sac paved, I'm assuming this is the end of the cul-de-sac.
That's the paved portion of the
To- to
cul-de-sac.
your
This would be our
driveway.
emergency access
Right,
here.
I don't have a dimension here.
That's gonna be 8 to 10 feet from that pavement to our property.
Minimal, okay.
It's
No,
the
no,
normal roadway
No,
layout.
don't know.
That's a concern if it's only 8 to 10 feet.
And you see, this is the end of the cul-de-sac, and that's where the driveway. So it's-
That's the reason why we've been not wanting him to go through Evelyn's Way, because the kids play down at the cul-de-sac, and that's why we bought there. I'm not opposed to him building what he's building there, I'm just opposed to the access through Evelyn's Way. There's only a 10
There's no
feet
access to
division.
No, no, but let me be clear.
That's gonna be grass.
There is no access, it's an emergency, it's for emergency access
But
only
if
by,
there's no division between the cul-de-sac and this new,
There'll be a grass or landscaped strip between the edge of the pavement of Evelyn's Way and the edge of pavement for our driveway of at least 10 to 12 feet, because we've got 8 to 10 to the property line, and then we're 4 to 5 off of the property line itself. So it's not pavement against
It's
pavement.
not
There will be a vegetated strip, and through site plan review, they will most likely ask for that area to be vegetated.
my concern is the cars are still gonna try to get through. That's my concern. And if there's kids playing in the cul-de-sac, there's gonna be a safety concern.
I understand that, and I understand that the enjoyment of having the cul-de-sac, but but it is a public way. You know, I don't like legislating, morality, or this is how you have to act, but yeah, I understand it's the end of the road and kids like to play there, but there are cars that have the right to pass and repass. This particular development is not, to my understanding, is not accessing Evelyn's Way at all. It's coming off Griffin Street, but this is only for an emergency and not for any of the owners or residents of this development. And I understand what you're saying, that people will not necessarily follow the rules, but we have to have faith that people will. And maybe we'll get back to some type of civil society if we obey the signs.
So that's why, if he's putting a fence up for the, fire department, why not just fence it all off?
No, we're putting up a gate.
It's a gate, it's not a fence, it's not gonna be fenced
It's to
off.
keep vehicles.
I know what you want.
It'd be
Listen,
nice to have a fence.
You've done a very good job articulating what you want. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think it would be gated for the emergency vehicles. And it's not going to be pavement on pavement to say
No.
that any one of these houses would access Evelyn's Way. If they start doing that, that's gonna be a problem, and you need to notify the building inspector, the police. You have to be a squeaky wheel and let the world know that people who are living here are interfering with or are not complying with the design. I mean,
Mr. Chairman, if I
yeah,
may.
go ahead, Dan.
If it's physical barrier, that's the concern. I don't want to plant arborvitaes that are gonna end up putting our development in a hole or shade
no,
theirs
no.
once they get to 20 feet tall.
Listen, that's where site plan review's gonna come in.
Correct. And because there's a hydrant right now, you can see an existing hydrant at the very end, so we really can't shroud that hydrant in vegetation.
No,
If it-
you wanna keep it open.
If it's for physical, visual barrier, I don't think the applicant would be opposed to like a 4-foot vinyl fence running up that portion. John, you would.
No, why don't we
okay
just
with
leave,
that?
why don't you leave that for site plan
Okay,
review?
that's fine,
I mean,
but I mean,
I don't
we're-
wanna get into, because I'm not qualified to say this is I understand what this young lady would like, Ms. Aguirre would like, but I don't think I think that's beyond the scope of what
I
this
know
board-
John has been
No, man, I'm gonna let
in
you
the
speak,
development.
man.
I know John's been in the development, and I can assure them that if they speak to him, I'm sure they can come up with some type of a resolution to keep everyone happy. He's gone this far to make them happy,
Yeah, because originally Griffin Street was never, they were never.
No,
gonna use
that's
it.
right.
but they were never supposed to be single-family homes built on Evelyn's Way or in
But
this area.
but the
either.
problem is where you're located. And my recollection, across the street on that Evelyn's Way, there was a woodworking factory or something.
No, that's one street down.
One street
Same-
down.
Same,
But it was the
next
same,
parallel
but
down,
it was-
same
at the
scenario.
same time, the same
They
development.
wanted to do that
Yeah.
addition, and then the homes that received
Yes.
variances, came out, they buy
Yeah,
into
no,
an
no, but I mean,
industrial
that's
area.
part of the problem of where you live. There was a variance, it's a single family, but there's this commercial use or industrial use that can go on.
We never knew that when we bought, because it was already developed.
You and everybody who bought over there says the same
And
thing.
he tries to plant arborvitae trees, they're gonna be all gone within a year, because I have 60 in my yard, and the deer come in and eat all of them. So, just so you're aware, please don't plant arborvitae trees, it's a waste of money.
We don't want any more deer to go in.
I've got plenty of them, and they're all
Madam.
about 5 feet
Hi,
down.
David, Cheryl Demora, on 35 Evelyn's Way. I just wanted to add and ask for Dan some clarification on this cul-de-sac, because Andrea brought it up, is my understanding is that cul-de-sac is gonna remain the same, and nothing's gonna be touched or like paved down to the
They've got
ground
nothing to
go-
do,
go-
that remains
Yeah.
in the same condition that it's in.
Right, so you can't drive through there because there's like, I don't know.
That's what I'm trying to
so
tell
many
Ms. Aguirre,
inches-
that they're not gonna
inches-
get there.
Right, so they're not, I mean, if they are, they're gonna damage
But
their
there may
vehicles.
be some
People
people
try, I
who are
guess.
gonna try, and when they do,
Yeah.
you have to call the appropriate,
Yeah.
I would say, you start the police, you call the building department, you take.
Yeah, I just wanna make
We,
sure.
we don't
that
want
it
that,
wasn't gonna be-
we don't want that behavior. We really wanna bring it back to a civil society who can read signs and stay within the boundary lines.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I do wanna mention, Dan, that owner has been down there since the last meeting. He's a very nice man, and he wants to work, I don't know if he's here today. Are you here? Yes. Okay, well, nice to meet you, I haven't met you personally, but I've already.
He'll meet
and
you
he's
outside
very
after we make a
agreeable,
decision.
You're very happy, and that you wanna work for both the residents living there and what you're trying to do. And we really appreciate that, too bad you didn't come sooner. But no, like trees or whatever, I'm sure we could work a little something out, yeah, so, yeah, I didn't realize it was you, so anyway, I did wanna mention that.
And also, that road would be marked as a dead end, right?
I believe it's marked dead end at the beginning,
Yeah, I mean,
but
so
in-
only people are
during-
residing
during
there.
site
But wait a
plan
minute,
review,
wait, listen, go ahead, Dan.
they may ask at the very terminus of Evelyn's Way to put up some type of signage. Bill will make sure,
Yeah.
the planner will make sure that we do everything that we can to keep traffic coming from Evelyn's Way onto our driveway. I am sure of that.
No, I mean, that's gotta be how it is. I mean, this is
Right.
separate, they're close, but it's not, I mean, Ms.
I
Aguirre's,
was just worried, because I don't think there's gonna be any curb to that area, because you said it was just gonna be all grass. That's why I was like, if it's all grass, they're gonna.
so
turn
when,
right through.
when the site, I don't know, do they get, does the
No.
world get notice of site plan review?
No, that's not a requirement.
Okay. Would you like to get notice of when the site plan review's going on?
Sure.
Well-
I'm not opposed to that.
No, I'm not opposed, I'm just asking Brittany, who I think coordinates the site plan review, if you give your name, we'll notify you when site plan, so you can be at the site plan review times and give your input. But it's,
It's just a safety concern.
I got it. You are concerned,
And
and you know, and I know this is being recorded, you need to come out because it's happening in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
We need to hear it, you need to deal, the developers need to deal with the neighborhood. We can't just throw it in the middle and say, this is what we're doing. So it's important for you to come out, be involved in the process. So that's good. Yeah.
I just have a question.
Sure.
There is- On separate utilities,
Each of the homes?
Yeah, every,
yeah.
No.
How is that?
No, it'll be like a condominium where we'll be running in a sewer main.
Yeah,
Everybody will now tie into that main, just like a normal street.
sure.
Water, I'm anticipating that the city is going to make us loop water from Evelyn's Way.
yeah, you don't
through
want,
the
you don't
Griffin.
want a dead end, it's gonna be looped.
Well, it's a dead end now, so they're gonna ask
No,
us to
they're
improve
gonna
that.
ask to loop it, to keep it
Exactly.
going. No, you're correct, we don't want these to be now individual lots, it's
No.
gonna, no.
You don't want
I
someone
wanna
coming
avoid
back
that.
and trying to subdivide this. Because if they were to come back and try and subdivide it, they would have to actually construct all of Griffin Street. And I don't think anyone wants
Well,
that.
and if you're concerned about that, then if, whenever we get
Condition is
to,
no
condition
further
no further, that's right.
Subdivision,
If that's a concern of yours.
yeah.
No, I'm just,
Yeah,
you know, we're doing,
right.
all right, anything else? John, Jim, Dan, David? All right, is there anyone else opposed, any other comments that we need to hear before the board takes a vote? Okay. No. So that's the proposal, we've made the determination that it's been a substantial change. Do we have a motion to grant the special permit with conditions? Do
Is
we-
that a bifurcated vote on
No, this
No,
is just
just a
straight
straight
under
that? Okay,
48, Section 9, we've made the determination that that was there. And then, under Section 9, third paragraph, special permits may be granted for multifamily residential use in non-residentially zoned areas where the public good would be served, and after a finding by the special permit granting authority that such non-residentially zoned area would not be adversely affected by such residential use, and that the permitted use in such zone are not noxious to the multifamily. So the finding would be, or the motion would be, that we have a finding that the special permit granting authority, that the non-residentially zoned area would not be adversely affected, and that the permitted use in this zoned area would not be noxious to the multifamily use. That's your motion? And no further
And-
subdivision?
yeah, and then that there be no further subdivision, the 2 parking spaces and, the planning, or the.
Site plan review.
Site plan review, which is required anyway.
Required anyway, yeah. But you can make it express, okay. And that's your motion, okay? Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, John Frank. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Okay, the special permit is granted for that development with those conditions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out. That's the guy to talk to. Mr. Aguirre's the other guy. Brittany's gonna get your name, so you find out when the site plan reviews are going to be, so you can attend or participate or send. If you can't come, if you're working, send your, whatever your concerns are.
I just wanna say thank you for actually using Working Street, 'cause that makes a big difference in the plan. Thank you.
You're all welcome.
And that's an object lesson on the power of neighbors being involved. Thank you.
Thank you.
is the
Site plan
November
review.
3rd?
No, Conservation Commission is
Is,
next.
all right, so we're
Which
still
is
on
the fourth, I
schedule,
think,
yeah, the
the Monday,
4th,
whatever
okay, yeah, I
that
just
Monday
wanna
is.
make sure that, yeah. We know we'll schedule
Keep
all
you
these
busy.
meetings.
Thank you.
All right,
Okay, thank you. Are we ready for agenda number, item 5 now? I haven't lost my count, have I, guys? So, number 5, Ray and Kathleen Ferreira, 3533 North Main Street, Lot X517. Variance request to expand the existing garage with an 18 by 45 addition for commercial use in the S District, lot size 10,499. Can you take that outside, please? Thank you. Did everybody hear what this petition's about? Dan.
Ready?
Dan, go.
Good evening, again, Dan Aguirre of SciTech Engineering, here this evening on behalf of Ray and Kathleen Ferreira, who are here this evening. They are the owners of this real estate, map X-5, lot 17, 3533 North Main Street. I'm sure you all know this property. This is the lawnmower guy. Small engine repair, right? That's what we go by. So, currently on the site, there's an existing single-family home to the rear. In the front is his existing workshop that you all see when you drive by, that's right on the street line. Behind that were 2 additional shed areas, and a fenced-in area where we used to keep machines that needed to be fixed, and they were out exposed to the weather for the most part. So, Mr. Ferreira went out and was in the process of building, it's basically more of like a canopy lean-to kind of a structure, and it was actually sitting on the fence in between the 2 property lines. The building inspector saw that, approached Mr. Ferreira, they had a discussion, and they came to the conclusion that, okay, let's go through the zoning board process and actually build, or in addition to this shed, rather than trying to hodgepodge this as a canopy lean-to kind of a carport thing, and let's build an actual walled shed structure, a larger shed structure. So he approached me, went out and did a property boundary survey, and what you see there now is the location of a partially constructed shed workshop garage addition, where you can see that the easterly boundary is 4 feet off the side yard setback, and the front portion of it matches the existing 3-foot setback that is currently there for the existing workshop. This will give the owner the ability to run a much cleaner operation, not have anything parked outside, no oils or greases or anything like that making its way to the ground. This is a variance petition, this isn't a single-family district. I could not find anywhere or at what point the existing workshop commercial use began. And I don't know, Mr. Chairman, if you were able to find that as well.
No, what I was, the curveball to me in this particular petition is that they just acquired the property. It was.
Well, I think it was like a internal conveyance, right?
And I'm saying, I don't, it seemed.
What's the owner history of this?
The property was my grandparents' and then my dad's, and my dad was on the property with us.
Okay.
We've been on the property for the past 20-some years.
Okay. So they've only taken ownership of it recently?
Yeah, because the name, the grantor wasn't Ferreira, so
Okay.
I started going back.
Trying to trace that back.
And I couldn't figure out because that's where I got lost. I didn't spend lots of time with it, but it's in an S district. And
Right, it's in an S district, so we are, on one hand, expanding, I guess what we can call a pre-existing non-conforming commercial use, because I honestly couldn't trace it back, the building inspector couldn't, so I think it's been there for a pretty long time.
Well, I've been going there for years.
For how long have you been
Oh, yeah,
driving
he
by
does a
there,
great
right?
job.
So, the building inspector wanted to make sure that we covered everything, dotted all of our i's, crossed the t's. Currently, the 2 dilapidated sheds that were serving as a storage area have been removed, and again, this is partially constructed already now.
How did the construction start without?
It was, at first when we had the canopy thing already almost constructed, there was a roof structure, but it was sitting on the fence. So after Mr. Ferreira spoke with Glenn, he pulled it off of the fence, knowing, okay, that's, we're not gonna go, we're gonna go the right way, we're gonna build it the right way. And then to get it off of the fence, built that other exterior wall. So, since we've spoken with Glenn and that has been done, this project has sat and no further work has been done. The
Wouldn't it
owner,
be better to go someplace else where they have actual industrial rather than in the middle of an S district in
You
Expedient.
go into the commercial mill district and they don't want you to do
No,
commercial
no,
uses.
I got that, but I'm
You
saying
wanna
there are
decide.
certain
You have to go-
areas in the
you have to
city
go-
and they're
yeah.
kinda close to industrial sites and.
It's nice to work in your backyard if that's where you've always worked.
I know, listen, it's one thing for me to putter on an old junk, it's another thing for me to have, and I laugh, and I don't, not really laughing about it, but when you drive by and you see, I'm on the sidewalks, and it's just,
Yep.
it's like,
Yeah. Well, anything
But anyway, listen,
anything
that's
that's on the
just me.
sidewalk, that's the zoning enforcement
No, no,
officers.
I got it.
I don't think
I-
anybody complains, Dave.
No, they don't complain,
Gets
but-
any complaints at all?
listen, it's not it's not them individually.
Right.
It's the zoning area, S district, it's just, that's just me. There are 5 members here, you're gonna vote however you want. I'm just asking the question because I'm going from something that was
You gotta
small,
ask all, yeah,
it's kinda like a guy with a body shop, working in his backyard or in his garage, and the next thing you know, everybody in the neighborhood's there. Then you got 15 cars and you say, listen, go buy a commercial space and go do it where you should be doing it if you're that great at it.
Yeah,
What,
I agree.
the discussions that I had with the building inspector is that his concerns were the structure itself and the proximity to the property line,
Yeah.
not the use of the structure.
Oh, but you understand, you need a variance for that use
That-
expansion also.
That's correct.
So the existing structure is staying?
Is staying, yes, yeah. So, and again, we're removing the 2 sheds and the fenced-in area, that all this stuff was sitting out there at some point in time. What I, again, I don't wanna make a recommendation or tell you how to do your job, but a condition that no materials are to be stored outside is probably appropriate at this point. If we're gonna build a structure this big, there should be no excuse for having stuff laying around outside. Now, again, that's something that needs to be policed by the zoning enforcement officer, but if a neighbor, for instance, came out and it now knows, okay, can't have all this stuff, you know, all over the yard, it needs to be in this shed, then at least it gives the zoning
It'll be cleaner.
enforcement official a little more teeth, and overall, it creates a better environment than what's there now.
But Dan, you keep referring to materials, what about the machinery that?
That's what I mean by the
that work-
machinery.
Okay, that's not the material, okay.
Yeah, no, machinery.
Yeah.
So like right now, he
Those
has
lawnmowers,
stuff to
yeah.
be fixed
Yep.
all over the parcel. I'm
Very
not
busy
dealing with the
man.
street, but so that way, anything, you won't have 6 lawnmowers on the back deck that need to be fixed. Everything will be in this new structure, and that's the purpose of building this structure. Now that they've taken the property over, they wanna be able to have a yard beyond the lawnmower business. That's all.
So, if you're thinking about granting the variance, then maybe what you're going to say is that the variance be conditioned to require that all operations of the business be conducted on the property and that no business operations be allowed on the sidewalk and roadway as is currently being done. So you end up eliminating, if you're thinking of granting it, then you say everything has to be housed on the
Is that
property.
the planner's recommendation?
Yeah. It is, I mean,
No, no,
I'm
that's
not,
fine.
I'm telling you that, if that's what you're thinking of doing, that's what I think, but if you're not,
Isn't
then,
that what's currently required anyway, that they
Well,
can?
it is-
Well,
listen-
it really is,
Yeah.
but it's not enforced.
but I'm just trying to
Yeah,
put it, I'm just
exactly,
trying to.
that's the difference.
I'm using Bill's language after discussion, but I mean, that's what I think you have to do if you're inclined to grant the variance. And if you're not inclined to grant the variance, then that's it.
If the owners can't live with conditions that this board puts forth, they have 2 options. 1, appeal them, or 2, not exercise their rights to the variance, remove the shed that's been constructed, and continuing going on the way they
Well, they don't
are.
necessarily have to remove the shed. The shed could be used for something else, couldn't it, if we say,
Well, depending upon how you condition it, yes.
That's right.
That's correct.
so, instead of saying taking it down, you can use it for storage or do whatever, but
Something else,
stop
and
the,
not the business use.
but,
I
because
understand.
I'm thinking about, they've got this,
So this is your opportunity to,
yeah,
yeah,
so anyway,
understand.
okay.
This is a garage, are we talking bathroom, plumbing, and all that stuff gonna be?
As far as I know, no, just,
Small place.
will it be insulated?
Well, it's not small, it's 45 by 18, that's a
Yeah.
house, so that's my
But
concern.
it's, I mean, it's low, I mean,
You
it's,
don't even see
One
it.
floor,
yes, yeah.
When you drive by it, the addition, you can't even spot.
Well, that's it, the
You've
way
got
that
really
it's
low
situated
floor
and there's
areas.
arborvitae's on the outside of it,
no,
you really don't see
I'm
it.
aware, I just concerned about future subdivision.
It can be a condition.
Yeah.
I mean, the lot's already pre-existing non-conforming,
Yeah.
so I don't think they'd ever get to subdivide it. You can always try.
Okay. I'm kind of, and I hope this is being recorded, it's being recorded, I hope somebody's watching it. I'm kind of surprised the neighbors aren't out. They don't
Yeah,
have,
well,
They've been good neighbors.
Yeah,
no, no, I got that.
I think
got
that's a
that.
testament to
he
them.
takes care of all the neighbors.
He takes care of
David,
the lawnmower.
David, I got it, Okay. So, is there anyone here in favor of this petition? Is there anyone here opposed to this petition? Okay? Motion to grant, motion to deny, with conditions, without conditions, what do you want to do?
I'll make a motion to grant with the conditions that, no further subdivision, number one.
John Frank.
All work to be done inside the building. No store, or I should say no storage of,
Here, you want me to read you that language?
yeah,
That,
that is supposed to be happening.
Yeah. The variance be conditioned to require that all operations of the business be conducted on the property and that no business operations be allowed on the sidewalk or roadway. You like that?
There you
Okay.
go. And that's it.
Hours of operation, do we care? I don't know what the hours of operation are, but again, if you're thinking of granting it, do you want to limit it Monday through whatever? I don't know.
Well, a lot of it's Saturday, Sunday stuff.
Well, I'm actually closed Sundays and Mondays. It's Tuesday to Saturday, 10 to 6, 6:30.
There you go. Tuesday to Saturday, 10 to 6.
Okay. Anything else?
Signage? It's already existing signage, no change.
Is there,
No changes. I don't think there were any signs there.
I don't think so.
I don't think there's,
Vote
it just
machine.
is. Well, David knows it.
No, no signs.
I can stop and get a soda.
Okay.
That's my.
All right, so that's John's motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Jim Corkins. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor? Frank Corkins, David, Dan, okay, 4 in favor, 1 opposed. Okay, that petition is granted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, agenda item number 6. Troy City LP, 434 Alden Street, Lot J, 1980. Variance request to subdivide the existing parcel into 2 lots, leaving the existing multifamily on 1 lot of 6,936.6 plus or minus square feet, and leaving an existing garage to be used as a private storage facility on the 2nd lot, 2,230.5 plus or minus square feet in an A2 district.
What's that? This one? Is that what you said? Good evening again, Dan Aguirre of SciTech Engineering. As the chairman stated, this is a property located at 434 Alden Street, owned by Troy City LP. This is an A2 apartment district. There is currently an existing 2-family dwelling to the rear of the property that's undergoing some extensive renovations. They're doing a really nice job on it. On the direct south side of that, as you enter into the site, there's an existing warehouse garage. It's actually a commercial use, and it's been that way for quite a while. What the applicant is proposing to do is, because he's had some, he will be selling the property, and anyone who comes into it has a concern with regards to this existing warehouse garage that's on the side. So to make the project a little more attractive, he has asked me to petition you under a variance to allow this subdivision to occur with that existing warehouse garage to be utilized only for private storage and alleviate the existing commercial use, in a way of giving the existing 2-family dwelling a little more comfort about what they're buying into. That type of use, I believe, is an allowed use by the, in the district. It will be private, no commercial activity in and out. The entire front portion of the site now is pretty much all driveway, all the way from Alden Street up to the existing 2-family. There is enough parking for the 2-family to provide spaces for at least 4 spaces. So if the board wishes, they could make that a condition that we have to provide 4 off-street parking spaces. And then the existing warehouse is all doors to the north side. So there's no door on the Alden Street side. There would be a cross easement to allow them to access those doors coming through where you see the word parcel 2, to access that warehouse the way that they do now. It's a 1-level block building, I think it's a flat roof. And I wanna say, if I remember correctly, when we were surveying it, the corner block stone, I wanna say said 1883-ish or something from the very front portion of this, but don't take my word for that. But I was surprised when we were surveying it when I saw that. Sometimes they've actually used the block from an older building when they built this one, so I don't know if that's the case, but I was surprised to see that it had been there that long. Anything with regards to parking or anything like that, we would actually be having an improvement in parking because the commercial user would now be gone out of the existing warehouse building. So we have a structure, a lot that has two separate
But
structures on it.
the lot was created.
Created, yes.
Back in 2005 with the
Right.
variance.
Through release
So
to cut
now
out
we've
the
done-
existing single
Yeah,
family.
I got it.
That's correct.
So the history of this has been, it's been chopped up already, there's been some relief granted on the property. When you're in an A2 district, that requires a minimum of 10,000 square feet for the first unit anyway.
My concern would be, you indicate that the new buyer just wants a house, didn't really want anything to do with it. Is this going to then be an abandoned property almost?
No,
Or what
the actual
use?
landowner,
The current
the
landowner?
current landowner wants to keep the garage for his private storage.
He is planning to.
So what
use it,
happens is, the buyers of the two-family, anyone who's looked at it, one of the downfalls to this property was this commercial use garage that sits out there now.
Level it.
Well, that's the other option, or just leave it and try and do something else with
Turn
it.
it into parking garage for the residents.
No, just shape, topography, soil condition, we're gonna talk about, the structures are what they
Well,
are. Tell me about the hardship.
Regarding the shape of the parcel, again, that was not a self-imposed hardship by
That's-
this applicant, but it was the
No, but
previous
but
property owner. So
he inherits it.
purchased this property knowing that this was the shape and that this was the site. So the clear hardship is the uniqueness of the two structures on this singular parcel, and it's created a hardship for him with moving forward with trying to redevelop it and move forward and sell that existing
It's
two-family.
personal to him.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody here in favor, wait, before I go, any questions, any other questions, gentlemen? No? Anyone here in favor? Anyone here opposed? Nobody's hiding back there? Okay. No. Motion to grant, motion to deny. Does they meet the standards under 40A, Section 10 for a variance?
I'll make a motion to deny.
Motion to deny by John Frank. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jim Corkins. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. David, you don't want to deny it? The motion is to deny the application. So we
No, I
go,
don't wanna deny it.
you don't want to deny it, okay. So we have 4 to deny, 1 opposed, so the vote is 4-1, the petition is denied. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay?
I really feel like it's 10 o'clock.
It does, and I thought I was working kind of fast. Do we have any citizen input? Has anybody signed up? I don't see anybody, okay. Do we have, now, did you all get your minutes, look at the minutes for the July 18, 2019, the August 15, 2019, and
Thank you.
September 19, 2019
That was
minutes?
on Danny.
Meeting? Okay, do we have a motion to waive the reading and approve the minutes?
So move that we waive the reading of the minutes of July 18th, August 15th, and September 19th, and approve the minutes as written.
Okay, have a second on that motion? Second, Dan Dupere, all those in favor? Okay, so those minutes are approved. The next order of business, I don't know if we're all gonna be breathing next year, but the approval of proposed 2020 meeting schedule. If anybody's had an opportunity to look at them, they're as good a dates as any as I can think of. If we have to change something, we can do it. Are these dates, does strike anybody as having an issue with any of those dates? I'll read them.
Acceptance.
January 16th, 2020, February 20th, 2020, March 19th, April 16th, let's see, a day after tax day, good luck. May 21st, June 18th, July 16th, August 20th, September 17th, October 15th, November 19th, and December 17th. March 19th, is that the day, that's the day after St. Patrick's Day? No, something like that. I just don't want that to interfere with it, but yes, it works for me. Any discussion on that?
Move approval.
Move 'em. Second? John Frank, second. Any discussion? So the meeting dates for 2020 are as listed. Is there any other business that we need to bring before the board? Can I motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion to adjourn, second. David, all those in favor? Fall River Zoning Board of Appeals, October 17, 2019 is closed. Thank you.